Hello, my name is Nouri Isaac and I'm 17 years old and I'm studying at the Rotterdam University of Applied Sciences to become a teacher in English. My favorite food is spaghetti, but you can really wake me up for anything and everything except for vegetables, but yeah, okay. The favorite thing that I like to do is hang out with friends and watch movies because I like movies. And yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Evelien and I am 19 years old. I'm studying at the University of Applied Sciences to become a teacher in English. My favorite hobbies are playing the piano, watching series, or watching movies. I like to hang out with friends and I love ice cream or chocolate or any kind of food, Italian at most actually. After this short introduction, you'll be watching a little presentation Yuri and I made about the crash, the New Deal, and the Great Depression during the 1930s. We'll hope you'll enjoy and that you'll actually learn something.
Okay, let's look at our table of content. This is our table of content. We'll briefly discuss the Roaring Twenties, Black Thursday, the Great Depression, and next we'll talk about President Hoover and President Roosevelt. And after that we have a talk about the New Deal and the Second New Deal, and we round it up with a brief conclusion. But first, the Roaring Twenties. In this decade, America was one of the richest countries in the world. New adventures such as vacuum cleaners, washers, toasters, and improvements on radios and cars were the order of the day. A lot of people want to share in these riches, so what they basically did was loan them money and buy whatever they wanted. Live now, pay later was their creed. And also they invested money in stocks, which made them rich on paper, but not really in reality. The Roaring Twenties were a decade of parties, extreme wealth, and endless possibilities. But it wasn't really endless after all. In September 1929, people were wondering whether the stocks didn't get too expensive. Some people started selling them already. This had an effect on the stock market, were plummeting prices. It seemed to be a temporary setback until the 24th of October. The motto "Live Now, Pay Later" became very rare. October 24th, the day Wall Street collapsed completely. This day would go into the history as Black Thursday. The money that people had lent to invest was gone, and as well as their profits. This left them with incredible debts. So the crash hit America hard. This picture is the perfect example of how people responded after the crash. They went on the streets of Wall Street, crazy, not knowing what to do, in panic and chaos. After the crash, things went from bad to worse. More and more companies were bankrupted, and in 1932 the stocks lost over 90% of their value. The crash was followed by a decade-long recession worldwide. This recession is now known as the Great Depression. In this decade, there were about 12 million people unemployed in America. Tens of millions were underfed. When a nation is suffering, they turn to the government, as well as America did. And at the top was President Hoover. He was the 31st president of the USA. Um, Down below you find a quote of Hoover when he admits he made things worse after the crash. It says, "Once upon a time my political opponents honored me as possessing fabulous intellectual and economic power by which I created a worldwide depression all by myself." But how did he make things worse? He did it by not doing anything at all. He believed that recession would sort itself out. However, it hadn't sorted itself out in 1932, and it didn't look like it was about to restore itself. So in the year 1932, Hoover decided to help the banks and the companies that still existed with loans. However, Hoover didn't give any federal help whatsoever. Not $1 went to the unemployed, the homeless, and other people in need.
So, Hoover wasn't really doing a great job in how he handled the Great Depression, and elections were coming soon. As expected, in the elections of 1932 a new president was chosen, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. In his campaign, he promised a New Deal for the American people. At first, people didn't really expect a lot of change. However, after he got elected, this is what they got. The New Deal was mainly focused on the 3 R's: relief for the unemployed, recovery of the economy, and reformation of the financial system to prevent this ever happening again. Within the first 100 days after Roosevelt started his presidency, the government launched a lot of new laws in a lot of sectors of the economy to get grip on the situation. Roosevelt made money available for hundreds of projects, such as new projects that needed to be built, or repairing or improving bridges, roads, school buildings, and hospitals. These plans created over millions of new jobs, and it improved the infrastructure of the US. One of the very famous projects is the Hoover Dam in Colorado. It was also built in the 1930s. Back in the day, it was known as the Boulder Dam. The results were an almost immediate recovery of the economy. The unemployment declined rapidly. Because of the building projects, and the income didn't drop anymore either. Most of all the people were glad with all these changes, but not everyone. Business giants were protesting against the rising taxes they had to pay, and the Supreme Court countered laws that gave the government too much power in their opinion. This second New Deal was actually the second phase of the New Deal. It focused more on the reformation of the system than improving the economy. The positions of the unions were improved. Companies and employees were forced to put money aside for pensions and future unemployment. Roosevelt also introduced even higher taxes on the high top of incomes to bear the enormous costs of all the projects that were introduced. In 1936, Roosevelt was rewarded with a victory after elections. He won in almost all the states. The Democrats had an overwhelming majority in the Congress. But Roosevelt's second term wasn't as successful as his first one. It was more of a letdown. He openly went into battle with the Supreme Court, but he lost. The conservative Democrats in the southern states stopped the further expansion of the New Deal together with the Republicans. Furthermore, after all the high expenses, Roosevelt decided to economize. This led to a new small recession in 1937. The economy recovered again after the small recession of 1937, but the depression didn't end. The unemployment and economical issues disappeared only after the USA got involved with the Second World War. This was the end of our presentation.
That was it for our presentation. I hope you really liked it.
After this presentation, so the next class, we have made a few exercises on the board. And we hope you'll be able to answer all the questions we made.
Yeah, so you have a little revision on what you've just learned. And in the end of the clip, there's homework, unfortunately.
But just think like this, when you make the homework, you actually have a shot at getting an A+ on your test, or a 10.
That's what we're aiming for. Good luck, you guys. Bye.